As you enter this room, we ask that you become aware to the fact that you are in a setting in which all of the attending supporting women are connected in some way to you, Mel, or myself, which means we are all interconnected and hold a valued contribution to her well-wisher and to the women we are today. We ask that you listen with an open heart and mind and hold everyone here with empathy and compassion as we so bravely share our thoughts with each other today.
Her voice sounds like butter when she says that, right? All right. Thank you, ladies, and thank you, Paisley, for that introduction. You are on the Her Well Wisher platform for this Connect session. We so appreciate you sharing this platform with us because it is for you. Her Well Wisher platform is all about empowering, supporting, and rising up and empowering women. So thank you for sharing in that with us today. We are honored to be sitting with you. And for those that are listening, we are so thankful that you pressed play. In the next hour, we are connecting with a few ladies who know a thing or two about wellness. You may notice them from the studio and possibly previous connects. Shanna, Bree, and Tiffany, thank you for being here. Before we go on, if you don't know what I'm talking about, as far as the studio, go to herwellwisher.com. The page is full of entrepreneur women who are doing their thing to impact the world. And there will be possibly 3 new ladies joining in this next month that we are so excited to see up on that board with them as well. It is www.herwellwisher.com. We are also on YouTube, which is where you'll be able to share this with others at herwellwisher.com. We're on Anchor, Spotify. You can read our amazing blogs on Medium. And of course, social handles, I always say that wrong, social handles, Instagram and Facebook. So check us out there. We appreciate your likes and most of all your shares so that we can help inspire other women to support women. But before we get into it, Paisley likes to do this thing. So go ahead, Paisley.
This little thing. Just a little chance to get to know each other, right? So in the nature of provoking thought, we've got a couple questions for you and would love if you answered by showing either all the feels or no. All right, so do you have a wellness practice? Yes, looks like many of you do. So if you do, are you hopeful to benefit from today? All right, Mel, let's dive in. We have 3 knowledgeable, strong entrepreneurial allies with us today to offer a piece of their wellness practice. Everyone's wellness practice looks different, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but we hope this Connect provokes thought and exploration in your own wellness practice. Before we hear from the ladies, Mel, will you just take a minute to share a piece of your wellness practice?
Boy. If I had to express my one thing that offers me wellness and serenity to begin my day, it's drinking coffee in the morning in my chair. I crack the window no matter what temperature it is, and I sit there and I wait to hear my birds, which are cardinals, right? And I hear them, and then I know the day has started. And so that is my connection to nature, and I feel I am well balanced in that moment. What about you, Paisley, since you asked me?
Beautiful. So for me, I think, yoga is a huge part of my wellness practice. But most recently, I'd say it's a practice that I actually was introduced by Tiffany, who is going to be sharing a little later. But it is a thing called morning pages. And you wake up and the first thing you do is write out 3 pages. No grammar, no thought, no, am I doing this right? It is simply a data dump, a brain drain of your to-dos or anything that may be on your mind. And it really allows you to have space for being more creative, being putting your creativity at the highest potential that you can be. And you don't have to be an artist to be creative. Everyone's creative. and she taught us this through a book by Julia Cameron called The Artist's Way. And it has just allowed me, specifically in the past, like, I'd say 2 or 3 months, to become way more aware, have so much more clarity heading into my day. So yeah, that's what I got.
So, a very personal share. So I appreciate you doing that in this space. We are going to kick it off and get right into it with Bree. So Bree is out of New York. She is a professional personal trainer. When we originally met, she was a yoga guru and some training in Thailand. Am I correct in that?
Yeah.
And then she came back to the US, planted herself in New York, and I got the benefit of having her in my life. She's also a health coach, and the most exciting thing that she's done lately is she has just released her own blueprint around health, fitness, wellness, and mindfulness. So Bree, why don't you tell us a little bit more about that blueprint?
Yeah, so am I unmuted? Yeah, okay. So it is called the Simple Fitness Blueprint, and it's a 12-week guided group training program. So what it's supposed to do, and it does, is it helps women feel more confident, stronger, and happier about their bodies, which I think is extremely important, especially for women these days. So it's catered for women, and I cover 4 pillars of wellness, which is what we're talking about today. So I cover 4 pillars of wellness, which are nutrition, self-care, mindset, and fitness, of course. So fitness is the main component of it, but all these other little things go into it as well. And it's super important. So like they bounce each other out. And that's what I feel like wellness is to me. So the first pillar being mindset, I think is extremely important. And if you think about it, your mindset kind of creates your outcomes. And so if you're not in a positive mindset, you kind of like, you're in a funk. And you can be in a funk for a while if you don't change your mindset about things. So that's something that I'm really big on, especially not even in the blueprint, but with everything that I do. So especially in training, you realize that you'll have your ups and downs. Sometimes you'll have a really good week. You'll feel super strong. Maybe the weights come off, and then the next week you'll gain 8 pounds and you're like, where did this come from? And there's so many things that can happen. It like could be because you're not sleeping. It could be because it's that time of the month, and like it just messes with you. So I really dig into mindset and like ways to help you create like a positive mind. And one of the things that I really love to do is reframing. So reframing is when, for instance, like you have to wake up at 6 a.m. And for most people, that's not very fun. So instead of being like, oh man, I have to wake up at 6, or like this sucks, you get to say, I get to wake up at 6 because I have a job. So that's like reframing your outcomes and creating better mindset towards your day. And it's just all about like mental growth. So that's one aspect of it. And there's a lot of little tips and tricks to it. But there's also self-care that comes with that. So you're taking care of your mind and your body. And so self-care, I think Mel, you were mentioning this just a while ago. It's different for everybody. So some people need to go to the salon, and that's your self-care. And in that case, me and Mel haven't taken care of ourselves in 6 months. And that's not great, right? So you need to think about other ways of what self-care is to you. So instead of it being the salon, especially in these times, maybe you need to sit back and you need to do breathing exercises. So something that I find really important and has helped a lot of people is to sit back, close your eyes. And Tiffany, you'll probably know this breathing technique pretty well, being a yogi. You take a nice deep inhale for the count of 4, hold it for 4, and exhale for 4. And if you do that for even 3 breaths, you're gonna notice that you feel calmer, you're ready to take on the day, and just feel mentally better. So it's a little woo-woo, but it works. So we go into like what helps you that's different than like physical stuff like face masks, baths, and all of that. So breathing techniques, meditation works. For me, I found out that I need to be by myself a lot because I give a lot of my energy to my clients. So I realized I need to be home. I need to schedule this time into the week where I sit down and I read a book and I'm by myself and no one can bother me. And that just helps me feel energized. So we find out what works for you. And then nutrition is also a big pillar. It's probably the most important pillar apart from fitness, because I feel like everyone's heard that abs are made in the kitchen, and it's super cliche, but it's true. And even if that's not your goal, which is not mine, I'm a personal trainer and I don't have a six pack. So it's not necessary, but you do want to have a balanced diet. And so one little trick that I love is to have a colorful plate. So even though you're not like counting your calories, because that's not for everyone, you look at your plate and you have to have your purples and your oranges and your whites and your greens, and they're all on your plate. So if all those colors are on your plate, you usually have all the nutrition that you need, and then you'll figure out plating. So plating usually goes with, you have your proteins in a palm will be your meats. Your fist would be your carbs. And then your thumb, the tip of your thumb is actually like your fats. So you can take that as you, as you need to. And then of course, fitness, that's my big thing. It's really important to have structure to your training program, especially if you're starting something new. It's very repetitive. So I kind of lead my girls into why fitness is so repetitive. Why do you keep doing the same thing? Because you want to load your body to create changes depending on what your goal is. So we have this 12-week program. You leave it and you know how to go into the gym and work out on your own and just create this overall wellness and fitness for yourself. And that's what I do for everyone that reaches out to me.
For those people listening, maybe the people who are trying to take on the next best thing in their current practice right now, maybe it's fitness, maybe we have many coaches on right now as well. So that's pretty impressive. What do you think would be like the most impactful piece to generate the most like movement?
Most impactful way to generate movement. Would it be wrong to say to just go for it?
No.
Because that's how I believe it is. Like, I'll have a lot of girls that come to me that are completely new to fitness, and I'm a big strength coach, and I love to get these women to lift more than 5 pounds. And there's something so rewarding to getting someone who really is like, I don't want to touch 10 pounds, you know, because I don't want to get bulky, and just teaching people to lift like 15 pounds, 20 pounds. And it's very rewarding to see them come into the gym and go into where all the guys are. Okay.
Yes.
And lifting those 15, 20 pounds and they're coming back to me and feeling so empowered about it. So yeah, my word of advice is just go for it, because you can do so much more than you think you can.
I don't know about you, Paisley, but for me, one of the things that you said that resonated the most was, we talk portions and food all the time and like what your plate should look like. And many of my balance coaching sessions is about what your plate should look like, because so much movement in weight, but also in inflammatory things that can happen in your body is based off how your plate looks. So I really liked how you shared, which is a super useful tool, the palm, fist, and thumb. That was super useful.
Is for meat, and the fist is for carbs, and this is for fats.
I also love that you embrace carbs, but you know how I feel about that. So
they're good for you.
They're brain food, aren't they?
Yeah. They're everything food.
Thank you for sharing, Bree. More to come on that later. I'm super excited for you to share. And maybe we can have a little bit of time in the end to go through. But sneak teaser that I want to tell you guys about is that with the 3 women that we have today, there might possibly be workshops that we will share with you later that you might have the opportunity to get a little bit more in touch and ingrained with what it is that they are sharing right now. So stay tuned for that. Thank you, Bree. We're going to go right into Shanna. Shanna has been with us since the get-go. All right. She is one of our first original Her Well Wishers who shared their story, who continues to work with us to this day. She is a mentor for both of us. She is a professional photographer. badass photographer. She is also an alignment coach, which makes complete sense, right? To be able to help somebody, coach them to be able to look into the camera and say, I'm beautiful. She can help align your life like that. Herbalist. So she is an herbal practitioner and owns her own business in like 5 different ways. So Shanna, can you tell us a little bit more about what it is that you would like to, like your job that you do today? Tell us a little bit more about the one that's going to impact us that you're sharing about today.
I'm about to bring all the woo. But really, it's a lot of mindset stuff, right? But ultimately, what I feel that my job that has blossomed into being of late is helping people to really align their life and their work with their like soul purpose, and doing really just deep digging around a lot of the conditioning that we're carrying with us, that, you know, we think that maybe we're not that great at, but, you know, being photographed, or that our business shouldn't be as successful as it can be, and getting clarity around all of that. And so when I work with clients, one of the first things that I do when I hear someone talk about how they don't have clarity around their goals, they don't know what they want or where they're going, or, you know, they need help in those areas. My first question is always, tell me about your morning. What is your morning practice? What does your morning ritual look like? And I started to realize that your life reflects your mornings. So if you're having these chaotic, hectic mornings, your family's buzzing around you, and you're checking emails from bed, and you're you know, getting bombarded with a bunch of stuff coming from every direction, your life is going to feel like that too. And so I started to realize that wellness is really encompassed in those first few moments of your morning. And it's more than just, you know, these, you know, ideas that we're told are, you know, these measurable things. I started to realize that all of the areas that I'm helping, especially women with, it's like, it's all connected. And it's almost always connected back to these morning rituals that, you know, we do or do not take part in. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting, because wellness for me is, just as much as the shape of, you know, or the state of my body, or how I'm feeding myself. I can also see my wellness showing up in other areas of my business, how I serve my clients, how I serve my family. It shows up in my bank account. It shows up everywhere. Like, wellness is really everything. And it's actually, there's really cool practices that you can do. Paisley named off one already, with the morning pages, that you can just incorporate with your morning routine, or your morning rituals, as I like to call them, because I'm definitely a business witch, that can, you know, really help to manifest and grow the life that you love and deserve. So yeah, I hope that answered.
Yeah. So the morning ritual that has impacted you the most is based off of what you allow within the first 30 minutes of your life, do you think? The first 30 minutes of your day, the first hour,
Yeah.
the first 2
Yeah.
hours?
So I'm really, 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 really lucky and super grateful that I can kind of design my life around some pretty beefy morning rituals. So I incorporate a lot of stuff into my morning rituals, everything from, you know, reading, and I consider my movement of my body part of my daily rituals as well. But one of the most important ones for me, outside of the morning pages of just kind of like brain dumping, which later turned into manifest journaling, which is where I actually would write about my life kind of like a year in the future, let's say. Only I would write about it present tense. And I would write about how I feel, like in this, you know, whatever it is that I feel I want to attain. And when you sit with those feelings and you sit with gratitude for those feelings, for things that have yet to come, you get this boost of clarity around making your decisions throughout the rest of the day. And so suddenly your life starts to like follow this path that you're consciously putting forth every morning, you know? So like you want to get like a promotion, right? Like, you want to work towards getting a promotion. So you sit with feeling what it would be like, or what it will be like to have that promotion, to work with that team, to feel the sense of accomplishment that comes with that. And suddenly you start to identify these decisive moments throughout your day that feel aligned with what that kind of sitting meditation was. And you start to more easily kind of make decisions that bring you towards that much more effortlessly. And you start to get a much better idea of what your idea of success and what your direction of your life is. So there's like a sense of clarity and purpose that comes with it that, at least for me, was previously unfound. But outside of that, sense cleansing.
I want to like switch roles just for a second. And like, how could we feel as beautiful as we are?
It starts with that. It starts with feeling as beautiful as we are, right? Because we are all perfect. We're all absolutely beautiful lights of human beings having this wonderful experience, even though it's definitely difficult sometimes. I think it's really just, there's a couple things you can do, right? Like you can speak to yourself in the mirror and tell yourself how beautiful you are is really powerful. I've actually had a few clients who I've had to have do that because they don't believe it. And there's something that happens when you say it and you see yourself and you watch your own eyes dilate while you're telling yourself that you're beautiful.
Chills.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the feels.
No, it's definitely, and so if feeling beautiful is definitely something that you feel you're lacking and you're needing more of, creating conscious space to feel the thing that you feel you're lacking, right? Because that's really what your morning ritual should be about. Like, are you feeling that you're missing something from your life? What is that? The chances are pretty good you can identify it. You've probably said at some point, oh, wow, I wish that, when I looked at pictures of myself, like I felt more beautiful. So to consciously go, oh no, and it's, really similar to what I believe Bree was saying in terms of reframing, like, no, I get to wake up this early. No, I get to be this beautiful. Like it's reframing it really. And it's the thing that you feel like you're missing, you create a space for it and you just get moving. The thing that's interesting is like, and this maybe you'll resonate with. So manifesting or creating a life that's aligned is very much a muscle. And so it starts with ritual. It starts with repetition, right? You don't start with the heaviest weights you get. You start with just repetitive motion of this simple, heartfelt thing that you want to feel. And as you get the muscle memory of that, well, then you start adding resistance. Then you start adding extra things. So for me, I'm to the point now where I'm like, okay, I've got like, I wake up my body slowly. I do the sense cleansing. We have a PDF, I believe, that breaks all that stuff. Super juicy. And, I have my morning tonic based on my dosha, which there's a quiz that everyone can figure out what they are. And from there, I know that, social justice work is really important to me, and it's important to my wellness that I'm taking part in this and that I'm like scheduling time to do this. So, I work on that, and that's, something that's important. Or I know that I want to, be more connected with myself and my intuition. So I have space in my mornings where I'm actively and consciously flexing those muscles, and I'm adding more and more resistance. And now it's to the point where it's like, not all in the morning, right? Like I'd be getting up at 2:00 in the morning to do all the things that I do.
It was beautiful. I definitely got all the feels for from a few things you say. One, because I've literally felt them myself. For me, it was a healing. If you don't know, I lost my nephew to suicide at 15, and Shanna came to see me shortly after that. And I was broken and didn't feel beautiful or loved or anything, but it was all based off of grief. I, to this day, know that I'm the only beautiful that I will ever be, and that is good. That's perfect. And so I thank you for that practice that you gave me. The other thing that you said is just the daily muscle of saying that to ourselves. I am strong, I am beautiful, I am worthy, I am capable. And as she spoke to, Shanna put together a delicious, juicy PDF that she is sharing with you out of the amazing space in her heart. I'm sure it is from the space of wanting to fulfill her need to fulfill women. Said all that in this space. And so we will be sharing that with you guys for joining with us today. So Shanna, thank you for putting it together. And it's beautiful. Wow. Paisley, I'm feeling recharged. I'm ready for the new season. And it's almost like it's perfect. Paisley, that brings us to Tiff, right?
Yes, it does. I am also super recharged. Thank you, Bree and Shanna, for sharing. And I definitely feel like I have some new tools for my toolkit, for my little wellness toolkit, right? And I think I'm going to gain a few more once I hear what Tiff has to say. Tiffany is a yoga and meditation teacher. Her and I met on one of her beautiful yoga retreats in Tulum, Mexico. And I would love if you would share a little bit more about you as a yoga and meditation teacher.
Yeah, well, thanks. And I have to say, Bree and Shanna, thank you so much. I was taking notes the whole time, and I definitely have some tools from my toolbox. So thank you. Ooh, I can't wait. But yeah, so as Paisley said, I am a yoga and meditation teacher. I live in Louisville, Kentucky. I used to live in Austin, Texas, where Paisley is, but now I'm back in Louisville. But I do often host meditation sessions online, and I'll continue to do so in the coming months. Most of those, I'm going to actually ramp them up. I'm getting ready to move to Tulum, Mexico in December. So I plan to do a lot of online things through that as well. But I do also host yoga and meditation retreats, or I like to call them experiences, because I think it's more than a retreat, but all over the world. I've hosted so far in Thailand, in India, in Italy, and in Tulum, Mexico. So, and many more to come on that. I don't know where to next, but only time will tell.
Awesome. So in preparation for this chat, we were talking about your meditation practice, and that looks like 45 to an hour, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like that could be a little overwhelming, you know, to somebody who doesn't currently have a meditation practice, or someone who just feels so full in their day already, you know, like, where do I fit it in? And as we were discussing before the call, you know, what are those ways that we can easily find time to fit it in? And mindful moments came up. Could you tell us more about what that is?
Sure. Yeah. So first, though, I want to say, you know, you are so spot on when you say that the idea of cultivating or starting a 30 or 45 minute daily meditation practice can be daunting. And I totally get that. But if there is anyone here today on the call that is interested in cultivating a meditation practice, just remember that you can always start with 5 minutes and then, you know, begin working your way up as you feel comfortable, or even as time permits. You know, one day it might be longer, one day it might be shorter. So I always say no meditation is a wasted meditation. So we can definitely talk offline about that. If there's anyone that wants tips or advice on creating that, I would definitely love to talk with you offline about that. But let's talk about these mindful moments, because, you know, I was thinking about, like, oh, what can I pull together, you know, when we all gather today and talk. And I'm sure that most of you all here today have noticed that words like mindfulness or even the word compassion, they're becoming like buzzwords in our society. You hear them all the time, you know, and I think that's for a reason. And in my opinion, it's because these are practices, especially mindfulness and meditation, but these are practices that have stood the test of time. And now we have science to back that up. And we're starting to see a resurgence in our modern world of, you know, I mean, think about, we're constantly connected. We constantly have distractions in the environment that we're living in. So because of that, these buzzwords are becoming more prevalent, or we're hearing about them a lot more. So, and, you know, even if you think about all of the distractions that you experience every day, maybe even right now on this call, I don't know, maybe you're getting text messages or alerts that might be showing up on your cell phone. Even, you know, social media, pop-ups, message alerts from any platform that you have, ads that lead you to click aimlessly on other links that you weren't even intending to go to. Have you ever found yourself down the rabbit hole? You know, you're like, oh, I didn't even mean to click on that. Now I'm at freepeople.com. That's me. I'm always at free. I'm always like, how did I end up here again? You know, or totally right. It's like, oh gosh. Or, you know, we all have meetings and agendas. Or think about health. Like, even though we're talking about health and wellness today, you know, there's an app for, are you drinking enough water? I have it. Like, you tap on every time you drink a cup of water, or an app that tells you if you're getting in enough steps, an app that tells you, think about all the meditation apps that there are, you know, so that's a lot. And at the end of the day, it can start to feel really overwhelming, you know, when you have all of these things that you have to go to or look for, you know. So really, that is where mindfulness comes into play, or that's how mindfulness can help us, because mindfulness means that you're maintaining a steady awareness of your thoughts, of your reactions, of your feelings, your surrounding environment, but you're doing it through a softer, subtler, more nurturing lens. And does anybody here, have you all ever heard of Dr. John Kabat-Zinn in the mindfulness movement? Has anybody ever heard of him? So I'm a pretty big fan, and because I teach mindfulness a lot, I've read a lot of his books, and you can watch him on YouTube. He's kind of like the pioneer of the modern mindfulness movement, if you will. But the way that he defines mindfulness, I absolutely love, and I want to share it with you all. And this is paraphrasing, so don't quote me on this one, but he defines mindfulness as the awareness that arises when you're paying attention on purpose in the present moment, but you're doing it non-judgmentally. I'm going to say it one more time because I think it's important that we fully embrace that. So he says mindfulness is the awareness that arises when you're paying attention on purpose in the present moment, but non-judgmentally. So with that being said, there's so many ways that you can experience mindful moments in your daily life. And honestly, it doesn't take that much effort, you know. There's so many examples that I could even share with you, but I remember, and Mel, we were talking about this too, when the three of us were connecting, but there's an old Buddhist saying that says, when you're cooking a meal or when you're in the kitchen, you know, doing your thing, cooking the meal, just stir the pot. That's mindfulness. You're cutting the carrots. That's it. You're stirring the pot. That's it. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry about, well, the TV is on the background, my phone is buzzing over here, you know, maybe the UPS guy is knocking on the front door. Who knows, right? But it's just stirring the pot. But Paisley, you know, we were talking about it's fall and it's, you know, it's time right now. We're going through a big season change. And I hope you all are experiencing some good vibes while we're going through the season change, because, you know, this is the time that we're experiencing new clothes, new colors, new smells, new foods, right? New seasonings, you know, that we're using. And I love this time of year. Even though I'm a summer girl, I'm a true Leo, but I do love the things of fall. But what I wanted to really share on the mindful moment are just some things to think about that you can cultivate or integrate in your daily life, or once a weekend at least, you know, going out in the nature and taking a walk. And when you go out and take a walk, feel everything. Think about the five senses. Feel your feet as you walk from the heel of your foot all the way to the mound to the toes. You know, feel your feet moving. Experience the temperature of the air on your skin. Feel the, or listen to the sound of the birds. I was walking the other day and it was really interesting because I was listening to, and I was like, oh, I hear a bird chirping. Interesting, you know, chirp, 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 chirp. And then when you actually really tune in, you hear like 5 other birds way off in the distance, and they all sound different, but you don't always hear that, you know, and it's quite magical when you listen to all of the different things that are happening around you. Look at the different colors, smell the smells, you know, that are happening. Listen to the sounds of your footsteps, listen to the sounds of the passing cars, feel your heartbeat, observe your thoughts, right? Watch your fluctuation of your thoughts and your emotions and things that are coming up. And really that whole experience, being able to encompass all of the senses in one walk, right? When you get home, you'll probably have a lot to journal about. You'll probably have a lot to think about, you know, it's quite impressive. Or like when some of you have kids, I don't have kids, but what a beautiful thing to experience your child. Look at your child in their eyes, you know, really look at your child, right? And that too, Mel, exactly. Or when you're taking a shower, take a shower, feel the heat or the coldness or the temperature, feel, you know, what it's like to, you know, smell all of your products and things like that.
Yes. Please tell me you're going to share kind of what that could look like for us right now.
I will. Yeah, we can do a quick, I'll keep it short because I know for timing purposes, but we can do a quick mindful meditation. And what I'm going to do with you all here is something that if it resonates with you, you can take it and put it in your back pocket and you can keep it with you. And maybe you can make it a little longer if it's something that you like, but you know, maybe it'll help you in your future and your daily, your routines. So speaking of mindful, and before we get into the practice, one thing I just want to drop in and leave you with, because you can even think about it while we're sitting together, is the concept of time, you know, and when someone asks you, how much time do you have, you know, or, you know, anything like that, you don't have time, you only have now. You know, we describe ourselves as human beings, but instead we're constantly thinking and doing. But we're never really being, right? Human beings, we're never really being. And we miss everything instead of being present and being in the moment. So there's no other time than right now. And if you live in the moment and experience that, I think you'll find much more joy in your practice and in your daily life. So let's try it out if you all don't mind. And I see some of you all are sitting in a chair, some of you are on, it looks like on the floor, but whatever surface you're sitting on is totally fine. You don't need to move. But just take a few moments to adjust and maybe get your wiggles out and maybe rock a little bit from side to side or forward and backward. And wherever you're seated, try to feel a little bit more grounded. And then sit a little taller as you ground down through your seat. And you can imagine like you're holding up the sky with your head. So you've got the sky above and the earth below, and all of that space in between is where all the specialness is as your human being, as your being. And then let your eyes close. And then bring your awareness just to breath, and you don't need to change anything. You just live in relation with everything that's happening, all of your circumstances. So just breathe naturally in and out through the nose. Maybe feel the breath as it enters and exits through the nose. And feel the breath as it moves through the body. Maybe notice, where does it go? Is it deep? Is it shallow? Does it go to the chest? Does it go to the belly? Again, you don't need to change it. Just witness and observe that. And then as you start to feel a little bit more connected with the breath, start to notice any sound that's around you in the room that you're in. And you might hear things maybe outside the window, or maybe you hear the buzzing of the air unit, or anything else that you tune into, and just notice that. And then maybe even taking your awareness a little further outside of your room. So that might mean outside of your home, outside of wherever you are. And for me, I can hear the sound of the cars passing by. I can hear an airplane flying over. So whatever it is for you, just tune in to that sound. And all the while, as you hear all of the sounds around you, you can still feel and connect to the stillness within the body, or maybe even the beating of the heart, the sound of the breath. And then start to draw that awareness from the sound from outside of your room, come back to within your space. So draw it back in. And then come back to the natural breath. Good. And then when you feel ready, you can start to blink your eyes open and just take a few moments to adjust and come back. Come back to our call, come back to the space. So that's a practice that you can try and you can lengthen it, and sit with it for a while longer and notice those differences. It's a really cool, I love sound, but you can also use other senses as well. It doesn't have to be sound. So thank you for that.
You girl. That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I hope you all enjoyed.
All right. Well, that wraps us. We have just a few minutes. If anybody wants to share anything, we're going to open it up for just a couple minutes about 3 minutes of open dialogue. Just keep it in mind. If you want to share something, keep it to about 30 seconds or less, so everyone has the opportunity to do so. The time is yours.
I wanted to say thank you to everyone. Thank you, Tiffany and Bree and Shanna. I got a lot out of what Shanna was talking about with visualizing where you want to be in a year. I thought that was amazing. I feel like it takes it past like just a vision board or goal setting, and actually putting yourself in that place. So that was super exciting to me. And I'm going to start doing that today.
Yes. Yeah. And definitely feel all the feelings. It's really, I think the universe is a vibrational kind of place, and your emotions have vibrations that the universe can kind of be like, oh, that's what she wants. All right, I guess we'll bring her more of that. So it's just attract kind of vibe. And yeah, it's pretty potent. I definitely would love to hear how that practice works for you.
I'll keep you posted.
Definitely.
Yeah, I took away so much, but I know I have 30 seconds, so the task for me, this done. Right. I don't even know which one. I'm gonna go with the last one. I'm gonna go with the mindfulness. I hear that term so much, but I never really tangibly had, you know what I mean, I guess a definition or even practiced it before. So when you said that we spend so much time doing, that's my life. And that a lot of us are wearing so many hats, and I just got to do and I got to be for everything. everybody else. And by the time it's me, I'm tired. I don't want to do anything. So that whole like being thing, like I'm always yearning to, can I just be? So I had, messaged everyone, so that almost made me cry, because for that moment, I felt like I was just being, and to still my mind, which is always busy, and to actually, I hear this stuff in the background, but it's usually just noise, right? Because I just want quiet. But the reframing, there you go, Bree. Was that Bree? Yeah, the reframing noise, then it wasn't irritating to me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know. It was good. And I'm going to look more into that, because I need more time. All right, look, you said no time. I need to just be.
Exactly. You, Aisha, you should look up Dr. John Kabat-Zinn. He has some, you can even YouTube. He's got some great YouTube short little practices too. I think you'll enjoy it.
What's his last name? Cabot.
Kabat, Kabat dash Zen, Zinn, not Zen like a Zen master, but he is a Zen master. But yeah, John, Jon, Kabat, Kabat dash Zen.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just would love to say too, Bree and Tiffany, thank you so much for sharing that awesomeness with us today. I feel like I got a lot from both the little reminders of getting up and getting moving. I feel like I could always use a little bit of that. And I'd like to say presence is one of my favorite place to be, but I really loved like your definition and your reminder of like, we're human beings, not human doings. So let's get back to being. So I appreciate that. And your meditation is beautiful. So thank you for that.
Very welcome. Yeah, I feel the same. Bree, when you said reframing to not, I have to wake up at 6 a.m., but I get to wake up at 6 a.m. Wednesdays and Fridays, I walk early morning with one of my girlfriends here in Louisville. And I'm just like, I'm not a morning person, and I'm taking that. I'm totally going to do that. And I also, Shanna, when you were talking about how you also do the journaling, but you do the manifestation journaling, I think that is so amazing. I always say too, and I'm going to get back to it. You just kind of put a fire under my, what, but I always say that if you write down what you want and write it down, you will get it. And careful what you wish for, because it comes,
Oh, yeah.
You get it. So.
No, it's funny. I always make a kind of joke for people that when you set space, or you write it, or you like declare it to the verse, it's kind of like sticking that in your Amazon cart, and like it just shows up at some point on your front porch. Like you might not know when, but it shows up, and it might not be exactly what you asked for. So definitely the more clear, concise, and detailed that you can about what you want, for sure. Love it.
All right. I'd just like to close by saying we hope that this style worked for you. We really wanted to give you something by way of our allies that have aspired new practices or inspired new practices in our life as well. And all three of these allies have done that. And, all different ages, which is like what we need to remember. We often tend to cultivate around our age group or our type, or moms or not moms. And at the end of the day, we are all nurturing women who nurture the world. I am so appreciative that we have so many strong women of so many different generations and backgrounds here with us today, sharing practice. And I don't know if you know, but a practice of meditating with others is actually one of the harder practices. And the fact that 13 women just meditated together and had a mindful moment together is actually a very evolved mindful moment, right? So I don't know about you, but that makes me feel pretty good. So thank you so much for that. We will let you know more on the workshops in case you want to be a part of something further with either Tiff, Bree, or Shanna. Please go visit herwisher.com. You can sign up for future events. We have November events, December events, and they are going to be epic. And you can sign up for them on the Connect tab. We thank you for those of you that invited somebody specific and special. Did I get it all,
Yes.
Paisley?
You got it all perfectly. So with that, thank you for being here. Special thanks to Shanna, Bree, and Tiff. If you're listening, we are grateful you pressed play. Always thank you for your likes, shares, comments, donations, listening, and well-wishing each other. With that, we love to close out by doing a little thing called showing mad love to ourselves and to each other. So thank you, ladies.